Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Casual Sports Podcast. Once again, another week. We're back at it. Finally going to have 2 in a row. It feels like it's been a while. Before we get started, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this video if you're on YouTube. You can check us out other places as well. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Casual Sports Report. We don't post much on Facebook, so go to the other two. We now got a TikTok page as well. All the links will be down in the description below, so make sure to check that out there. And joining me this afternoon, once again, Mike Wolfgang and Matt Morrison. What's up, guys?
Nothing much. How you doing today?
I'm fantabulous.
It's finally draft week, man.
Finally. I mean, I feel like we've kind of been coming up on this one. It feels like forever. It's like, oh, man. It's just a long gap between the end of the NFL season and draft. And then, like, we didn't really have the, real pro days and stuff. And we didn't get to see the combine.
It's just been kind of weird because when I watch ESPN every morning, it's just, ever since the season ended, it's just draft.
And finally it's here.
It's
finally we get
here.
something new on ESPN, too.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I feel like end of the season you get like, okay, these mock drafts make sense. We're at the point mock drafts make no sense.
Yeah, I don't even pay attention
now
to them
Right.
anymore.
I look at them at the end of the season like this is probably what's most accurate-ish. And then they just have to get clicks by now. For those, I mean, the NFL beat writers they're beating a dead horse at this point in the year. I mean, what do they got to write about? Not much. So you got to just keep.
We're talking about the same
There's
thing
that one guy.
months. I mean,
There's that one guy from CBS that makes those mock drafts every week, and they're so bad.
I mean, when you got to make a new one every week for the
you
first
just gotta mix it up
4
and make
months
it,
of a year.
Interesting.
But everyone's been bad.
Well,
It gets us talking about it. That's what they want.
that's what we're doing right now. All right, so we're actually going to talk basically NFL draft the whole show. So if you're not interested in that, you can probably skip ahead an hour if we're still going after that. Skip ahead a little bit more. We got a few other things to talk about. If you are interested in our thoughts on the draft, that's starting in 3, 2, 1. So Trevor Lawrence basically locked to number 1 at Jacksonville, right? Everybody agree with
I think
that?
we all know that.
I mean, so let's talk about that real quick. Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer teaming up in Jacksonville. What is the potential for this squad then?
I mean, they know each other. They're familiar with each other. I think Trevor has what Urban's looking for, and I think that's a good spot for him to go to. It's not like he's not going to get slammed by media being the number 1 overall pick in Jacksonville.
Right.
No, I don't. I think they're going to be a good match together. Honestly, if Urban Meyer can, not have like a heart attack on the sideline, right?
That's so big a thing. It's like, what is Urban Meyer's health going to be like this season?
I think that's more of a question than Trevor Lawrence. I mean,
Right.
you know what you're getting with Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence, I mean, can we also just talk about this? He's 6'6". The number 1 offensive lineman in the draft, Penny Sewell from Oregon, is also 6'6".
Yeah.
So Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to see over just about every single lineman. So he's basically the perfect quarterback prospect size-wise. He's got the mobility that matches with Justin Fields and the guys below him. He's got a cannon for an arm and accuracy that's undeniable. Yeah. So as long as they can get him some weapons and a decent line, I think they're set for a good push in the next few years.
I do believe so. Yes.
So the real question becomes, how soon do the others go? Right now, Zach Wilson is the number 2 ranked prospect by CBS. Justin Fields is 6th, Trey Lance 10th, Mac Jones 21st, Kyle Trask 82nd, and I just started pulling a few other guys. Jamie Newman from Georgia, 121. Kellen Mond from Texas A&M, who's had a few good seasons, all the way back at 141. Then surprisingly, Sam Ehlinger, one of the other big-name players from college in the draft this year, he's ranked 310. So the potential Sam Ehlinger doesn't go, or he goes very late, depending on what teams want out of a quarterback. I mean, I think Sam Ehlinger is probably still one of the better quarterbacks in this year's group, but he's not going for a while, so it really leaves the question of what are teams wanting a backup for those guys. So who do you guys got going next behind Trevor Lawrence?
For the second pick?
For the second pick, right now, it's to the Jets.
I believe that Jets are going to pick Zach Wilson. Only because, I mean, I've heard so much about it. Like, everybody's saying, they're going to take him. And he's a good quarterback. Just because he's coming from a lower school like BYU, there's been some good guys that came out of BYU that have been successful. Steve Young. So, I think he'll be pretty good.
I just think that's where he's locked at right now, and I think that's the kind of guy that they're saying they want. And after getting rid of Sam Darnold, they have to go quarterback number one, and that's just he seems to have what they want.
He kind of fits the system a lot like Daniel Jones fit the Giants.
Yeah.
He seems to be the right fit at that team, and I think that's why they're going there. Because personally, I think Justin Fields is the better quarterback.
I believe that, too.
I've been watching some film the past few days, and I was just looking at Zach Wilson's highlight reel from BYU, and I keep looking at this, I'm like, he has an alright arm.
Yeah.
A lot of his deep throws, his wide receivers have to stutter on and come back to find the ball. So that's one key. He's got an arm cannon, because I saw him throw it from the 20-yard line on one side, on the far right side of the field, deliver it down to the end zone on the far left side of the field, and that's covering 100 yards doing it that way. So I know he's got the arm strength, but the accuracy can come into question on those deep throws a little bit. He's got good mobility, but a lot of his touchdowns and a lot of hidden yardage came on very short throws. So a lot of screens. I mean, if you go watch his highlight reel from BYU this past season, there are quite a few touchdowns coming off of those screens, and there's a lot of other plays where his wide receivers are the ones making the plays. He's not going to have wide receivers on the Jets that are going to run 80 yards past NFL corners and safeties. One, they're too fast these days, and no offense, but the Jets really don't have the wide receivers to do that with at the moment.
And you touched on the athletic ability, which is certainly there with him. He has the arm strength, but the only thing with that concerning is, as you touched on, you have noticed at BYU, some of his longer throws, he kind of underthrows some guys. And that's it's a situation with the Jets, like you said, they don't have any receivers, so is he going to get away with that there? I mean, that's going to be something to keep an eye on.
I mean, BYU, on the other hand, doesn't have the best receivers either, and they find their way back to it, but they're also facing Mountain West competition in Boise State, not an NFL corner who can read that pass that's in the air for 100 yards, come up and make a play on that, along with two other safeties out there in the field. So, I mean, I have a lot of concern about Zach Wilson, especially going that high, but it seems like that's what the Jets want. And with that, Mac Jones is probably my next guy off the board, and based simply on the fact that it seems a lot of teams in the top four are interested in him. We've heard some rumors from the 49ers and Falcons that they want him, and those would be the next two teams up. Personally, I don't think the Falcons are actually going to stick around and take a quarterback at 4.
I say they take Kyle Pitts.
I have Kyle Pitts going
with
4
too.
as well.
And here's another thing.
I mean, he's a number one prospect, basically, in the draft.
Matt Ryan...
He's a game changer for the next 10 years.
Yeah, and they don't have to take a quarterback like you're saying. Take a guy like Pitts right now, and Matt Ryan's not totally out of it right now.
No.
He's under contract for like 2 more years. He has no money guaranteed on it. And
he's a decent quarterback.
Yeah, I mean...
they're not really going to get much better out of a rookie besides growing him with the team.
Yeah. So, I don't want to get... We're jumping ahead here. We haven't touched on the third pick yet. But
so, who do you got going 3?
3, personally, I had Mac Jones going to the 49ers. There's been a lot of rumors that he's expected to go that high. I don't think he should go that high. Much like I don't think Zach Wilson should go that high, but it seems like the team wants him and it's the fit.
If they're not going to take Justin Fields, I'd rather see them take Trey Lance than Mac Jones.
There's been like so many different types of talk. Like they're saying like Niners are going to pick Justin Fields and Mac Jones is going to drop to get picked by the Broncos, or the Broncos are going to pick Trey Lance, and then the Patriots will be there to take.
Yeah, there's
Jones.
A lot of room. We'll go through our.
Well,
at least my pick by pick.
Yeah.
A little bit later here. Now, next question up. First wide receiver off the board. Now, obviously, we've been talking about the Heisman Trophy winner, Devontae Smith, but he's the third-ranked wide receiver in this year's class behind Jamar Chase of LSU, part of the monster unit with Joe Burrow that won the national championship, and then Jalen Waddle of Alabama, who's also been fantastic, one of the best route runners and speed guys in the league, entering into the league this season. Devontae Smith behind him, Rondale Moore from Purdue, who we know is an absolute speedster, and whatever team he ends up on, he'll probably be used similar to like Curtis Samuel, kind of just a do-it-all positional player on the offense, wherever they need him. Kadarius Toney from Florida, he's projected around 24 rank, and Rashad Bateman of Minnesota, one of their duo 1,000-yard wide receivers, he's ranked 31st. And there's a few other guys below him, Terrace Marshall Jr. of LSU, and one underrated prospect I have, or sort of underrated, Elijah Moore of Ole Miss. I remember seeing a few Ole Miss games this past season, and it seemed like he was always the guy they got to be talking about. It was Elijah Moore or nobody else. I think he's an underrated prospect, and I got some high hopes for him. And obviously, I have Kyle Pitts just in the kind of the wide receiver room, because I think he'll probably be used as a mixture of wide receiver, slot, tight ends, places. but he's also 6'6". So 3 of our top prospects, Trevor Lawrence, Penny Sewell, and Kyle Pitts, are all 6'6" behemoths. And so who do you think first wide receiver off the board is going to end up being?
That's a tough choice. Like, they're all really good.
I would say Jamar Chase because I see him go to the Bengals at 5. There's a lot of talk about them taking Penny Sewell to
the Bengals need Sewell.
I think the
agree.
Bengals are going to take Sewell.
They really do. They're the first team that really needs the old lineman.
I agree with that. I think it's a smart choice, but
teams
get tempted by these receivers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they do. But I think Penny Sewell is easily the best prospect in the draft when it comes to offensive linemen. No one's even close, really.
No, especially that position. Nobody's even close.
I was watching some of his film because I'm putting something together for a class actually tomorrow that I need to finish. And wait for the last minute. I know.
Oh, yeah, I do it all the time.
Same here, man.
Right. And just watching this guy move, there's times he's blocking three defenders coming at him and pushing them the opposite way. I mean, he's a generational talent who's going to be on a team, and for the next 10 years, he'll probably make 10 Pro Bowls in the process.
Definitely for the Bengals, a smart choice, as you touched on for protecting Burrow. But
yeah, I mean, Burrow's got
his leg snapped.
Yeah, so he's got to have. That's the number one issue for them.
He's going to be a little more cautious to run out of the pocket, I think.
Yeah.
But I actually have Jalen Waddle going first, and I have him going 6th to the Dolphins. I figured that first team coming up for wide receiver, Dolphins, quarterbacks Tua Tagovailoa, they're going Alabama. Give him somebody he knows. It didn't work with Washington and Dwayne Haskins and Terry McLaurin, but this seems to be a better system, better run, better fit. Tua seems a little more developed at the moment, a little more comfortable out there as well. So I think it's a good move to bring in somebody he knows. Now that he's also developed a year in the league, has learned his current wide receivers, and now you can bring him in Jalen Waddle, who he was pretty good with.
Yeah.
Yes,
I do have Jamar Chase going right after him 7th to the Detroit Lions.
8, I think I have Carolina taking Justin Fields. If we're going 8 here.
Carolina?
Yeah.
And we're not going spot by spot, but...
So what'd you say you had
I
again?
said Detroit Lions at number 7 are taking Jamar Chase. Dolphins at 6 take Waddle. So Waddle goes first.
Okay.
And I've also kind of seen the trend of Alabama prospects kind of get boosted up in the draft. They seem to be everyone's favorite go-to guys when all else fails. It seems to be Alabama always goes first. So, now, probably the biggest question, which running back goes first, Najee Harris or Travis Etienne?
I think I want to combine that into, basically who's better. I mean, Etienne had a solid 3 seasons at Clemson, where Harris just kind of splashed onto the scene this last year. But Harris did work out more and get way better. But if you're looking for a guy that is good at being good, for a long time, you gotta go Etienne.
Mike?
I say Najee Harris. I don't know why, but I just think he's a safe pick, and just going off just this last year, what he did. I know that incredible offense there at Alabama, but he was just ridiculous, and I think I don't want to bring the Steelers into it because we're not there yet.
Yeah.
But I think if a team like them is going to go between one of these two guys, I think Harris is the right fit, and I think Harris is the right fit for most of these teams.
I don't actually have Harris even sticking around that long to make it down. I don't have
That's
either
the
one.
other thing too.
Because right now the Cardinals sit at 16th. They don't have a running back, at least not one who's kind of a big name or
They might go later rounds though.
Potentially, but in the position they are, they just basically got everything else they need. They still need a corner and a linebacker.
They also need offensive line as well.
Not terribly. CBS doesn't actually have them ranked in their top needs. Running back is one of them that they do need. And with the Cardinals picking at 16th, I think it's the perfect spot to get a big body next to a smaller Kyler Murray with Najee Harris going first. Then at 18th, the Miami Dolphins get another pick.
Yeah.
And I got the Dolphins taking ETN. To put that next to an already stacked group they'll have with Waddle, Tua, and now ETN next to him.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned both teams have new running backs, especially with the Cardinals. I mean, they addressed a lot of their needs in the offseason. So that's probably a route that they would probably go with that pick and with their first selection.
You said you had 17, the Dolphins are picking again?
No, Matt, 18.
18, okay.
17 is the Raiders.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
So, probably my favorite non-quarterback wide receiver running back spots here, Penny Sewell and Micah Parsons. Pretty much kind of the two big names. Obviously, corners are everywhere. I feel like Micah Parsons is going to be an impact player immediately he steps on any NFL grounds. Penny Sewell is a once-in-a-lifetime talent as well on the offensive side.
And Micah Parsons is another guy. If he would have played this past year, he might have been a top 10 pick.
Right.
He still
He
might have even been top 5 if he played.
There's that potential, but I don't think anyone in the top 5 really needed that position. And I have him falling all the way down to 9th, which isn't far.
No.
I haven't been getting taken by the Broncos because their number one need is a linebacker. Micah Parsons would be a great fit there, I feel like. He brings a lot of speed, athleticism, and just overall fantastic linebacker skill. I mean, Penn State's one of those teams. It's always been, you want a linebacker? Who's Penn State got?
They just spit him out.
Right. Especially, 20, 30 years ago. Obviously, they've had a little bit of down, but they've still been able to produce some pretty good linebackers in that time. It doesn't really seem to matter how the team does. They got a good linebacker that you can at least depend on for a season or
good
two.
defensive guy. Last year we saw, I forget his name. It was some weird name.
Oh, yes. Yetur Gross-Matos.
Yetur Gross-Matos. Yeah.
He was a good move, and I don't think he's done much so far, but he hasn't got a lot of playing time.
He's with, Carolina?
Carolina. That's right. I forgot the team.
So, who needs to move up in this draft? Right now, the 49ers already made their move. They moved up to 3. Rumors are saying the Patriots want to get inside the top 10 in hopes of getting Fields, which I think would be a good move for them. To let him sit behind Cam Newton and let those two kind of build off one another. I think that's just a fantastic duo to have right there. Who else do you think needs to move up? I think a few guys in positions that are good. The Vikings, they sit at 14th. Chargers at 13th. The Raiders back at 17th. I think those are probably the 3 big teams that could move up. And we know the Raiders love to do weird stuff in the draft.
Yeah. I would say the biggest one, other than the Patriots, like you said, I mean, they're, to me, the most obvious one that could probably and should trade up.
We already saw the Eagles trade out, I believe, as well. They traded with the Dolphins.
Did they make another trade, though?
Weren't they going to pick a cornerback?
There was a bunch of different trades involving them, but they currently sit at the 12th spot.
Okay.
I don't know.
Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh could make a move to move up if they want Najee Harris or Etienne to move into the top 15 just to get him lock it down.
We need a running back, but we need offensive line. And Villanueva's visiting teams, including the Ravens this past week. So
I mean, obviously not.
We need offensive line. If they pick a defensive guy, if they pick a cornerback, we got so many cornerbacks.
And those are guys like somebody on defense and somebody like an offensive lineman. There's some offensive linemen that you can find in the late rounds.
There's going to be plenty in the late rounds.
So you don't have to take it that high. And who you don't really take that high?
Yeah, really.
That would make sense taking it, like if you trade up to like 15, it would make sense for an offensive lineman for them taking it at that position. So
unless you're trading up to get Penny Sewell, there's only a few guys. There's Christian Darrisaw, Rashawn Slater, and Elijah Vera Tucker.
And Rashawn Slater can go before that.
Yeah.
Right. But even still, those are really... Outside of Penny Sewell, I don't think there's a lot you're trading up for to have to get a guy.
I got to get that guy.
Because even in their current spot where they're looking, they could pick up Tevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State, Alex Leatherwood from Alabama, or Wyatt Davis from Ohio State.
Yeah. And they were even talking about that guy from Michigan, too. I forget his name. Not really important.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think Steelers have to move up. I think they could if they even if they move up 4 spots. If there's a guy that's falling to that point, say Justin Fields doesn't get picked to that point, and Steelers Pittsburgh or someone like that sees their chance because right now
also needs a quarterback as well.
What's also right in front of them at 20, the Chicago Bears, they need a quarterback.
Yeah.
So depending, Bears could be the ones to move up into the top, 15. To make sure that they can secure Fields if he drops out of the first 10.
They might just go, but they might just ride the the Red Rocket train for a year. They might just go Andy Dalton for a season, see how that works out.
I think they will. They'll probably take somebody else, but
maybe get a receiver to help them out. Maybe.
I have Trey Lance going 20th to the Bears.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in that case,
I think Trey Lance is either going
earlier
third to the Niners, or he's falling back like Lamar Jackson to the 20s.
Lamar Jackson was the last pick.
Right. But he's fallen to that later half instead of that first 3.
I don't know. There's a bunch of scenarios I was talking about before, like Justin Fields could be picked at 3, or Mac Jones. If not, the Broncos could be there to pick Mac Jones, or New England, or I was watching that media draft last night. They were saying that Trey Lance is going to go to the Patriots. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, let me give you the current NFL draft order. This was from CBS this morning, so they're kind of the official on the NFL draft until ESPN takes over Thursday night.
Yeah.
Number 1, obviously, the Jaguars. 2, Jets. 3, 49ers. 4, Falcons. 5, Bengals. 6, Dolphins. 7, Detroit Lions. 8, Carolina Panthers. 9, Denver Broncos. 10, Dallas Cowboys. 11, New York Giants. 12, Philadelphia Eagles. 13, Los Angeles Chargers. 14, Vikings. 15, Patriots. 16, Cardinals. 17, Raiders. 18, Dolphins. 19, Washington Football Team. That's a mouthful. 20, Chicago Bears. 21, the Colts. At 22, the Tennessee Titans. 23, the New York Jets again. 24th, the Pittsburgh Steelers. 25, the Jacksonville Jaguars with their second pick. The 26th pick, it goes to the Cleveland Browns, finally outside of the top 10. It's a miracle to see. 27, the Baltimore Ravens. 28, New Orleans Saints. 29, Green Bay Packers. 30th, Buffalo Bills. 31st, the Baltimore Ravens. And rounding out the top at the 32 spot, the Super Bowl champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of jump on the Bills Mafia. They need a running back, too. Like, no slack off of...
I think Singletary's going to do just fine for them.
He's done
he's
fine.
He's good, but...
He's not their need. If they want a running back, they can take in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah.
In this one, they need to focus on getting either a corner, an edge rusher, or a wide receiver. I have a running back as one of their needs, but not one of their immediate needs.
Okay.
I'd be happy with a wide receiver for them. Let's give Josh Allen more weapons.
If you can give, potentially at that spot, the Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, potentially.
They could be around there.
There are guys potentially. I'll go down my top 32. So I have picks for every single team.
Okay.
First overall, Trevor Lawrence. It's a lock. Number 2, I've already said it, Zach Wilson. 3rd, Mac Jones. Then I got Kyle Pitts going to the Falcons at 4.
What are you basing these picks off? Just what you personally think or team fits, or what you're hearing?
Between what I'm hearing, kind of all 3.
Okay.
Just a mix of that.
Okay.
And then there's a little bit of personal bias. Yeah. Just go like, okay, I think this player's better, or I feel like as I've watched last year's draft and draft before that, the way things are going.
I like how you mix it up. Some mock drafts are just staying the same, picking all these same players.
Well, we know that's not going to happen. That's just the thing.
Yeah,
you see all the mock drafts, you know it's going to be completely off, so go completely off.
Did you base it off any player bias at all, or no? Because obviously if it was you would have Justin Fields in top 3 at least.
Personally, the reason I don't have Justin Fields that high is because Ohio State quarterbacks traditionally have not done well in the NFL. I can admit that.
Yeah.
And I think there's a real bias against picking an Ohio State quarterback that high at this point because there's no chance of success based on historical data.
And maybe for Fields, if he was picked maybe outside the top 10, maybe that narrative would he wouldn't hear as much about it because he wouldn't
be picked.
Plus,
the one big thing that just came out that has never been an issue, but I think it might scare some NFL teams, is that he was fighting epilepsy.
Yeah.
Yes.
That came out. And a lot of people come out and support, and apparently it's the thing that runs in his family, and he's on meds. He's never had an episode while being at Ohio State. Ryan Day said it's never impacted him or his studies. But I think it might just scare off a few NFL teams from either trading up into the top 10 to pick him or anything like that. So I think that's really my main reason why he falls between that and him being an Ohio State quarterback.
Okay.
Personally, I love Ohio State quarterbacks. I think he's better than Mac Jones and Zach Wilson.
Well, I agree with that.
He's toe-to-toe with Trevor Lawrence.
I remember seeing one mock draft
where best. He's right there.
I remember seeing one mock draft where they had Pittsburgh taken. I'm like, what are you, nuts? He's not going to fall that far. And Pittsburgh...
Unless they trade up.
Yeah, unless...
The only way I see Steelers getting him is if they trade up. I don't think he gets past 15,
But here's
honestly.
the question. If he's there for Pittsburgh, do you see them taking him?
I think...
If
there's a 0% chance he falls to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Unless you trade up.
If they trade up, then they're getting him for a reason. But I feel like the Steelers Well, Steelers don't move around that much in the draft.
No, they don't.
They move out of the first round, if anything.
Yeah.
They usually just stay where they're at. But
Right. They're not a team that gets a lot of movement. Not like the Raiders, the Eagles, who have been teams that have moved around. The Giants.
They're a team that gets like 3 second-round picks,
Right. They want 3 second-rounders. They think 3 seconds better than a first and no second. So
okay, continue with your...
Right. So, at 5 to the Bengals, I got Penny Sewell, Jalen Waddle 6th, Jamar Chase 7th, Patrick Surtain of Alabama going 8th to the Panthers.
I want him.
I want
Dallas
they were talking
so
about.
I don't think he's fallen that low. Oh wait,
they're 10.
You're Cowboys. Keep thinking you're him.
But I'm fine with either of the other ones. Caleb Farley or
Farley's a good
JC
one. Broncos
Farley's
at 9.
Good.
Yeah. Broncos at 9. I have taking Micah Parsons. And I have Caleb Farley going 10 to the Cowboys.
So you think Denver's still going to ride the Drew Lock train?
I don't know what the hell they're doing.
I don't even think they know. Because they've gone through how many quarterbacks? I don't even know.
I mean,
they've had 10 different quarterbacks start since Peyton Manning left.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing worse than the Browns was. I think they're just going to stick around with one for a while or see if they can pick somebody out in free agency.
I mean, give them one more shot. You might as well.
Right. I mean, I think they might just try and wait and see if the 49ers pick up a new guy, if Garoppolo becomes available, bring him in potentially. I think there's a lot of free agents out there or, backup quarterbacks that could do some good in the league that I think a team like Denver should capitalize on instead of picking someone in the draft.
Yeah.
Because they've shown that they cannot draft a quarterback to save their life. Elway may have been a good quarterback, but he is not a good quarterback picker.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good quarterbacks in this draft.
Right.
You got that Davis Mills, even, from Stanford. And I don't know, did you mention Kyle Trask?
Yeah.
People are forgetting a lot about Kellen Mond.
Kellen Mond, yeah.
Yeah, Kellen Mond's fallen far down. He's 141 potentially.
I think he's going to be a steal.
Okay, continue.
Yeah,
all right, so at number 11, I got Devontae Smith going to the Giants. The Eagles with the 12th pick taking Kwity Paye, the edge rusher from Michigan. Christian Darrisaw, the offensive lineman, going 13th to the Chargers. Then number 14, Rashawn Slater to the Vikings. Then at number 15, finally off the board, the New England Patriots are taking Justin Fields.
Okay.
At number 16, I've said it before, Najee Harris. Christian Barmore goes 17th to the Las Vegas Raiders. He's a defensive lineman.
Yep.
18, I said ETN. 19, the Washington football team are taking Elijah Vera Tucker, the offensive lineman.
I agree with that.
I think he's a good pick. And then number 20th to the Bears, I got Trey Lance. At number 21, the Indianapolis Colts are taking Rondale Moore. I think he's a good speed fit.
That'd be
They'll
nice.
give them some speed, give them some versatility to kind of play around with.
And they got a good running back as well.
Right. So then I got Asante Samuel Jr., the cornerback, going to the Titans. Then the New York Jets at 23 have Azeez Ojulari, the edge rusher. Then Wyatt Davis going to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 24. Then after that, the Jaguars going to need an offensive lineman to protect their new quarterback. I think they're taking Alex Leatherwood of Alabama, the offensive lineman. He's a big boy. I think he'll do some good down there with Urban Meyer, who kind of likes that SEC system, and I think he's kind of putting together a group that's reminiscent of an SEC style to bring it to the NFL. I think that's kind of a strong suit. Then I have the Browns taking Tevin Jenkins, the offensive lineman from Oklahoma State. I think they need another big hefty down there in the trenches, and I'd be fine with any of those three guys kind of going in any order in there. Then after that, I have the Baltimore Ravens taking Trevin Moehrig, the safety. Then J.C. Horn goes at 28th to the Saints.
You haven't fallen that far.
Yeah.
J.C. Horn.
I do. I don't think a lot of teams want corners right now, especially not with a lot of the other players. I think there's a lot of wide receivers that are going to go, a lot of offensive linemen. Really is kind of be this, in my experienced opinion, it seems like the offensive linemen, they'll go from being ranked like, oh, this guy's not going to go to the third round, and boom, there he is at the 20th pick.
Yeah.
Because they just go off the board so fast. I think everybody wants them.
And you're starting
and
to
I feel
see
like corners are more of a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
No matter where you're picking them, you're going to get about the same, so it's not worth the first round burn.
And you're seeing how the last few years, teams are starting to value offensive linemen a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a huge position.
We're getting more mobile quarterbacks, and they need more mobile offensive linemen.
You see what happened in the Super Bowl when Kansas City's line was depleted. I mean,
they were a good line most of the season. You got down to the stretch, and they couldn't hold up anymore.
They got dinged up, and you saw what happened.
Right. Then after J.C. Horn at 29, the Green Bay Packers selecting Rashad Bateman, the wide receiver. I think they finally get Aaron Rodgers, the wide receiver.
That's a good piece for him, too.
Yeah.
I think at that perfect spot. Plus, he's Minnesota. So just going over to Green Bay, Wisconsin, it's like, one...
They're two rival cities, though.
Right, but you get a good wide receiver who you know can catch in the cold snow.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think is important that a team like Tampa Bay doesn't have to take into account, but a team like Green Bay, Wisconsin does. Because one team's playing where it's snowing, half the football season or more potentially. They need a guy that has cold hands, who can come in there when it's cold and catch. Instead of hot hands, he's got cold hands.
Yeah, not bad hands. Just being able to catch when it's cold. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I think it is. Then at 30th, I have the Buffalo Bills taking Greg Newsome Jr., the cornerback from Northwestern. Baltimore Ravens at 31st taking Jalen Phillips, the edge rusher. Then Terrace Marshall Jr., the wide receiver, goes to the Buccaneers at 32nd. A lot of wide receivers coming off the board.
I think that's what we're going to see Thursday, I think.
I think there's so much talent. I think teams are going to feast. But there's a ton of potential that we just see 15 corners go as well.
Yeah.
It's either going to be a bunch of wide receivers or a bunch of corners.
And there's a lot of corners that can go in the first round, but like you said, I just don't know if a lot of teams are hunting for corners right now. Because like you said, you can find them in later rounds.
There's a lot of teams that need a corner, but I don't think necessarily have to jump up now to grab them because there are so many down the list. And there's a lot of good ones coming out too.
I mean, obviously the one I see going high and probably the first one going off is probably Dallas at 10. Because they need defensive help, and they have a good corner with Woods, but you got to have somebody else go with them.
Yeah.
Or I mean Diggs. I'm sorry.
Diggs. Yeah, Quandary Diggs.
Isn't Stephon Diggs' brother?
Yeah, I think so.
Or cousin, I can't remember his first name.
Related.
But he stepped up last year, and there was much expected out of him, and he stepped up, and they need another corner to go with him, and they need anything on defense. Honestly, I'll be happy with anything on defense. But yeah, he'll probably be the first corner to go off, and Dallas will probably be the first team to take a corner.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dallas definitely is going to take a corner. Oh my goodness, I just completely brain farted.
I thought you had something on your phone.
No.
I've had a couple of those recently, haven't you?
Yeah, they've just been burning me. Whatever. The Dallas Cowboys could definitely be one of the first teams, and keep in mind Patrick Surtain's up there as well from Bama and Farley from Virginia Tech, so I think they got a lot of guys to move around there. Anybody else got anything for the draft?
As far as the Browns, I mean, obviously you touched on an offensive line, but do you think there's a whole lot they need, or we talked about both our teams already? So
Browns, I think they need a linebacker, but I don't think there's a linebacker in the first round unless they move up to acquire Parsons that they really need at that point. An offensive lineman's on their list. Obviously, they need secondary, but everybody needs secondary guys, and there's going to be a lot of those around. That's why, I think they need a big offensive lineman that's actually going to help out Baker Mayfield, kind of joining that line and be able to grow there with a lot of talent around him. And I would love Wyatt Davis to fall being the Ohio State guy down to 26th so the Browns can take him.
Yeah.
But I think it's big hefty season. The Browns need a lineman. Because, that offense is so focused around the run game.
Build up on the
offensive line. They have their defense, as does Pittsburgh, but they just need offensive line. They need to rebuild. All those guys are getting old in Pittsburgh. Even Villanueva, you're gonna have to replace them sometime. I know we re-signed Finney back as a center, but I think he'll be our center going
especially
forward.
If they take a running back. Too, they gotta have a line.
We need a running back and an offensive line, and eventually a quarterback. Which I can even take in. If for running backs, there's that guy. Trey Sermon's going to be there, in that second round. And there's that guy I'd
be fine with.
Sermon will actually be dropped back a lot farther. I believe he's projected 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah, and there's a dude from North Carolina?
There's a lot of guys, yeah.
There's a lot of
the UNC running back's projected early 2nd.
What's his name?
Oh, I don't remember. I forgot to write it down. I was going to.
That's what I mean, though. If they don't take a running back with their first pick, they can get a guy like Trey Sermon in the later rounds.
Yeah. But
frankly, I think you have a lot of guys like Trey Sermon already on the squad with McFarland and
Benny Snell.
You
need
guys
a
have
big guy.
plenty of prospects there.
Yeah.
That you just need to work into the roster, I feel like. We do have a quote talking about the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan was asked about Jimmy Garoppolo and whether or not he will be on the roster Sunday. He said, "I can't guarantee that anybody in the world will be alive Sunday." So won't guarantee the spot for Jimmy G, which probably means we already kind of figured, but it sounds like they're taking a quarterback at 3.
I say Bill Belichick is going to get a quarterback one way or another, whether picking Trey Lance or bringing Jimmy G back to Foxborough.
Let me ask you a question about Jimmy G.
I think he's good.
Do you think the Niners
I think they're stupid.
Do you think they're okay? Do you think it's okay for them giving up on him?
No, I don't think it's okay.
I haven't even made an argument about them.
I don't think it's okay at all.
Maybe take a receiver because they don't have any receivers there.
Right.
I don't think it's okay at all. I really don't. I like Jimmy. I know he gets hurt, but who doesn't get hurt?
If it was me, I would keep Garoppolo and take a receiver.
He led you to the Super Bowl. So, what are you gonna get rid of Nick Bosa because he got hurt now too? Like this, it's BS.
That's what I personally
I could rant and go and swear all I want, but it's not going to happen. They're going to pick whoever they pick. It's not going to make any difference.
I don't think the 49ers listen to us.
Yeah, they should.
They don't listen to anybody.
We should. They actually have that office right in Boardman. We should go blow. Yeah, we should go blow it up. Well, not like that, but
We're not going to do that.
Not like that.
What did you just say?
Like we should go blow up their go and yell at them, not like that, but
Matt's calling for a terrorist attack.
That came out really bad. I meant go and yell that kind of blow up.
That's still not blowing up. Matt's moving on. I believe we're gonna move off the NFL draft because Matt just made it awkward. So the NBA. Let's move into that. Interesting stuff. Utah Jazz first to clinch a playoff spot.
All right.
Matt's threatening people now. He's threatening a terrorist attack. Now he's threatening to punch me. I think we might have to get Matt off the show. Somebody call the police.
No.
So Utah Jazz, the first to clinch a playoff spot. Kind of predicted. We talked about it last week with them probably going to be the first to do that.
Yeah, I mean they were the closest to do it, and then that's what happened.
So are they the favorites to win it all, you think?
I don't know. I'm kind of in between on them. I feel like they can. I feel like they have enough, and I feel like they can do it, but just...
Will they have the playoff experience and injury-free?
I don't know. It depends on who they play, too, which obviously that's with every other team, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know about the Lakers right now, because...
I don't know about the
I know they have injuries, and they're going to be fine,
I don't even know about the Cavs. They don't have Nance anymore. I don't
even know why we're talking about
Cavs. I don't think they're going to make it.
I don't even know why at this point you're putting playoffs.
I'm just joking.
But... No, I don't know what the Lakers are. I know they're going to be fine with getting guys back. I mean, LeBron's going to be coming back in another week or two, but I don't know if they've fallen too far. I know
LeBron's good and all, but people just got to come up and be like, he's getting old. And he's not going to be able to go 42 minutes.
We wouldn't have had this conversation if he didn't get injured.
I know.
So I'm not going to go there. But
Jazz,
he's
still LeBron. He's still LeBron James.
What do you think about the Jazz? Just ignore him.
Shut up.
I mean, I think the Jazz are legit contenders right now, but...
You got to say they are.
I don't think they have the experience to make the run.
I think they have the pieces to do it.
They have the pieces to do it, but I don't think they have that piece. That one guy, unless Donovan Mitchell goes off like he did last year, put up 50 pieces in a series, but he can't do that the whole time. He's going to need more help. I don't know if they have the guys to do that.
Yeah,
I think they're a great squad, and I think Mike Conley on that squad as the point guard? I think he was a good addition to them. Royce O'Neal's a great defender. Bogdanovich is a great shooter, but I still feel like they're missing that one piece.
They got him from Indiana, right?
Yeah.
The one thing that concerns me is, I mean, they rely a lot on the three, and they've been pretty good at it all year. But what's going to happen in a playoff series when they go cold?
You're going to live and die by it.
I mean, you see teams like the Rockets have done in the past. I mean, what are you going to do when you go cold? Especially in the playoffs, because it happens in the playoffs, and that's the wrong time for it to happen.
Right.
I mean, the Warriors are the only team I haven't seen die by it. They live by it, but they haven't died by it as well.
Speaking of which, Steph Curry set an NBA record for threes in a month with 85. He beat James Harden's record, and Warriors are moving into a playoff position now as well.
I want to see that. I want to see that so bad.
It's kind of hard to believe Steph's never done that before.
Yeah, I know.
Only 85, right?
I mean,
he hits them in practice.
The moments he's had in the past and the runs he's won on the MVP seasons and all that, and the 73-9 team, it's kind of hard to believe he's never done that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still impressive, and it's very hard to do, but for Steph...
Right now they sit in 10th, so they're in a spot to move into the playoffs. And they got that play-in game, so... interesting, but also talking about.
You call it? Do you maybe a sleeper with them? Could they sneak
Not
in?
really.
I don't think the Warriors are ever a sleeper team. If they're involved in the playoffs, they're a contender.
Okay.
As long as Steph
Not
Curry
this
is
year.
there, he's a contender.
Yeah.
If
That's
they,
If Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins go off, are you kidding me? Yes, for sure. With Draymond Green in that bag too, they got big James Wiseman too. If he can, get healthy and
Isn't he out for the year?
as soon
he
as
might be. But
I think he is. I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
Man,
What were you saying?
I can't think of it.
Okay. Oh well.
I
Speaking
can't
of
think
the
his
Warriors,
name. The
they
other
are
Splash
taking
brother.
Klay Thompson. He's out.
Yeah. As soon as he comes back, I think they're back in the championship talk.
And if they get a top pick, which they then they probably won't if they get the playoffs, but they'll have a decent pick.
Warriors versus Pelicans on May 3rd. I thought this was just interesting. ESPN has teamed up with Marvel, and the broadcast will feature 3D virtual characters, custom graphics, and animation packages. As ESPN teamed up with Marvel, special broadcasters will also be present on ESPN2 for the game.
Kind of like they
May
did with
3rd.
the Super Bowl.
For Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
In the playoffs and stuff too.
Keep an eye on that. That was kind of cool.
I thought it was interesting. I was like, okay. And I think it's funny they're saying ESPN teamed up with Marvel as if it's not just Disney teaming up with Disney.
Yeah.
It's all owned by Disney here.
You just can't make it look like that.
Right.
You gotta make it look like somebody's teamed up with somebody.
Exactly. Also, more stuff about Steph Curry. It's kind of his week, it seems, in the NBA. Gary Payton believes Steph Curry shouldn't be considered a point guard. He's actually a shooting guard. If you want your meathead of the week for later, here's this one. He's actually a shooting guard because he's a scorer who comes off of screens to get his shots and doesn't handle the ball enough. Gary Payton believes he won't be in the all-time top 10 assist leader, so therefore he's not a point guard.
Gary
That's
Payton,
not true.
The old dude from the Sonics?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's just,
Why is he
that's
even
just
making
not true.
comments?
So I pulled
How
some
many? Who?
Okay, don't say that. Gary Payton's great.
Right.
Yeah, but he didn't be great.
I pulled some stats just because I was curious. Steph Curry currently sits at 4,929 assists. The top 25 list starts at 6,577 for 25th all time. Steph Curry averages around 450 assists per season. At the current rate he is at, he is just 4 seasons away from being inside the top 25, and I don't think Curry is retiring in the next 4.
No.
So he'll at least be in the top 25, and I think if you're in the top 25 for assists, you're pretty good, right?
Yeah.
You're probably a point guard, and I wanted to hear what your guys' thoughts on this and him
I
being
just
an
don't
actual
even agree
shooting
with
guard.
it.
He's like,
it just doesn't make sense.
he's like Draymond Green handles the ball more than Curry does for the squad. It's like
That doesn't make
what?
Draymond a point guard.
Right. I don't know what he was trying to say here.
I don't agree with that at all. And
I don't
I
agree
really
with it at
comment
all.
on it. It just doesn't make sense.
Nobody has even thought of Gary Payton since the 90s.
But one thing maybe he can say, yeah, Steph's a great point guard and all that, but people just refer to Steph, he's the greatest shooter we've ever seen.
Yeah.
We just go beyond the point guard and everything else. We just go greatest shooter ever.
Right.
Maybe that's what he was
I've
trying to
never
say,
seen-
but I don't know what I really
He was
don't
trying
know.
to say he said it wrong. Also coming up, we talked NFL draft this week. The NBA draft is set for July 29th. We're going to talk more about prospects and mock drafts once we hit July. Because not much else will be going on by then besides baseball and the end of the NBA. Even before the NBA doesn't go that late into July. So pretty much just baseball, I believe, at that point. So we'll be talking NBA draft when that comes around. So stay tuned the next few months for that. Kevin Durant and Mike Conley last night were at the Oscars, joined Kobe Bryant as NBA Oscar winners. Thought that was interesting. So there's now 3 in. With LeBron James' Space Jam 2 coming out, you may very well see a few more, depending on if that ends up winning any awards.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When's that movie come out?
Summer.
Summer.
I don't know. I
I
don't
know
have
it's coming
specific
up.
dates. I don't even know when the NBA Finals take place. You think I know when Space Jam 2
You didn't
comes
even know
out?
when the playoffs started. I was telling you it was like late May. And you're like, no, it's because we were saying it should have been like going on now.
Looking.
That's what we were saying before the show. Remember?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
So the Knicks making my dark horse pick look good. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games.
July 16th. That's when it comes out.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt. Pulling up Space Jam 2 for us on the show. Thanks, Google.
Okay, 2 days after my birthday, I'm gonna go watch it.
Whatever. So what do you guys think of the Knicks right now? They're 9-1 in their last 10.
4th place.
Think they're a serious contender in the East?
I don't. Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, who knows if the Nets will even all be there healthy. And obviously we talked 76ers a lot last week, 76ers and Nets.
Yeah.
How about some of these other teams down the list? Celtics. You got
Milwaukee.
the Bucks. Even they're quiet this year, but they're there. The Knicks.
No.
Eighth now is the Charlotte Hornets.
Is Miami still in there?
Miami's at seventh.
They're
The
heating up.
Hawks are
They're
in there
playing
as
good at the
well,
right
too.
time. Miami
Hawks?
is.
Really?
I believe the Hawks were. Yeah,
I've
let
been
me
paying attention.
double check there.
Miami's playing good at the right time right now. They're starting to heat up, and they've got a lot of good.
Yeah,
pieces
Hawks are
going on.
fifth right now in the East.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Back to the Knicks though. I don't know how I feel about them in the playoffs.
But let's just run down their last few games. Beat the Raptors, beat the Hawks, a playoff team, beat the Hornets, a playoff team, beat the Pelicans. Man, everybody does.
Yeah.
They beat the Mavericks, who are a playoff team in the West. Beat the Pelicans again. They beat the Lakers, who are crippled but still a playoff team. Beat the Raptors just outside of the playoffs. They beat the Grizzlies, who are just on the outside looking in. They beat the Knicks. And then they lost to the Nets by 2.
By 2.
Yeah, I believe we talked about that one last week because I was back on the 5th. We were talking about that, I believe. So I don't know. I think the Knicks are actually a legit team.
I think so.
I can see an Eastern Conference
I
Finals
think they're a good
depending
team.
on where they finish up.
Can you imagine that?
Something.
The Knicks.
They were horrible last year.
Could you imagine we see Knicks, Celtics, Lakers, 3 of the 4 final teams we see in there? What year is it?
I mean,
84? I don't know.
people say the NBA is better when the Knicks are good.
Right. When the
That's
Blue
true.
Bloods are winning, it brings in a lot more fans and it kind of makes things more exciting, I think.
Yeah.
And I think the Lakers kind of
That
prove
team's
that.
back, though. They got, obviously Julius Randle.
Who's having an MVP-esque
He's having a
season.
career year.
I like that. I saw a couple games with that Emmanuel Quickly. That guy's pretty
He's a
good.
good draft pick.
And they still-
obviously got Derrick
And
Rose.
they have
R.J. Barrett as well.
R.J. Barrett as well.
They have
I
some
believe
good
Mitchell
pieces.
Robinson is the center for that team as well.
To
Mitchell
me-
Robinson, he's
Yeah,
still
Mitchell
young
Robinson.
too. They got a lot of young guys. This team's going to be sticking around for a while if they can keep it together.
And to me, Tom Thibodeau should be a coach of the year.
Candidate for sure, definitely.
I think he should win coach of the year.
Yeah.
I don't.
Or maybe Quinn Snyder from the Jazz. I don't know because they're having
He'll probably
great year, but
win it if they get the first seed in the West compared to the 4th seed Knicks. But I think the Knicks is kind of more surprising the Jazz at the top because the Jazz were at the top last season.
Jazz been a
for while,
playoff team
too.
the last few years. They were, like you said, they were up top. But yeah, Knicks went from nothing to 4th seed.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the Knicks pick this past season in the draft?
Obi Toppin. He's
Oh,
hardly
right.
even playing.
Obi
He's
Toppin.
been hurt a lot, but
Right.
They're still.
they were pretty low
They
to
picked him at what? 9?
8.
10? 8? Okay,
8.
that's what I thought. I knew it was right around there. So from a high lottery pick now to 4th place in the East, what a difference a year can make. And everyone was hating that.
And that lottery pick's
everyone
hard to
hating
play.
that they got Julius Randle instead of Zion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Standings really haven't changed that much since last week's show. The Bulls did drop down to 11th. I know we were talking about them potentially after the trade deadline kind of bumping up.
They've been bad
They
since the
fell.
trade deadline.
Who I do like right now, getting hot. Wizards, they're up to 10th place right
Yeah.
now. They won 9 of the last 10.
8 in a row, too.
8 in a row, right. I don't know. I think that they could be a...
Rockin' Beal and Westbrook.
And that's a team, like, I didn't understand how they were so bad in the beginning of the year.
Right.
They have
looks like
pieces.
they finally clicked together.
They have a
last
shooter
time.
with Bertans. They have, you mentioned their backcourt.
Yeah.
They have some young guys off their bench. I
And
never
don't forget
understood
about
how they're
Hachimura as well.
Hachimura,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like
They were
them.
good a while ago, a couple years ago. They were like a 4 seed.
Mm-hmm. And Cavs aren't completely out of it, but I think where they're
They're
sitting
slipping
right
away.
now
Yeah,
looks
it's-
like they're probably going to chase the lottery, like they have done
Yeah.
in
They
recent
had a
seasons.
chance to do it, playing teams like the Wizards ahead of them in
They lost
Chicago
again
and a couple
to
other teams
Charlotte.
in Charlotte, but they lost all those games. So it's
Yeah,
pretty much
they
over.
beat Chicago.
Yeah, they're still sitting 6 games back, and there's 20 games left.
It's
but
just
it
looking
probably
slim.
seems like, all right, they hit the 20-win mark. Let's take
This
it.
was pretty much their chance to make a run this last week or two, and they didn't do it. So
Yeah, it was probably around that
Now,
time.
like
It
a just
seems like they're going to probably lock
Now
themselves in the
Nance-
top 5.
Yeah.
Nance is out for the rest of the season.
I guess it's hurt a lot.
Yeah.
It's time for some new forwards. So, 20 games left in the season. What are you looking for in the last 20 from any particular team? I want to see if the Nets can stay healthy and work as a whole
Yeah.
team for the entire rest of the season. Because we really haven't seen the entire team together.
I want to see this. This might be far fetched because I haven't been watching as much as you. But any chance the Lakers fall out?
Yeah,
There's a chance.
It's 20 games left.
Because they've been dropping.
If LeBron comes back and he just can't get going. If AD can't get going, AD's minutes restrictions, I believe, is coming up to an end here in the next few days. But, I mean, if LeBron can't go back to form, potentially.
Guys, the 10th place Warriors, they're only 4.5 games behind the Lakers.
Right, who are a 5th seed, I believe, right now.
So they can... I don't think it's going to happen, but
the West is still very much wide open.
They were 1 seed at one point this year, right?
Yeah.
So they can go from being 1 seed to not even being in the playoffs.
It's happened before, but
It's happened before, yeah.
Maybe not this late in the season, but with LeBron and AD both going down, it really hurt them.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I'm keeping an eye on Miami. Because I feel like they're starting to play good right now. And
How
they're
about
at
Charlotte
7th seed. They moved their way up.
Charlotte
Charlotte too.
I like Charlotte. I want to see if the Knicks can continue their hot roll.
Yeah, me too.
I want to see if anybody can catch them too. Like
Right.
you're saying, if they can keep it up. But
I want to see how the Sixers finish. If the Sixers finish hot, I think they're probably a favorite out of the East to win it. Even more so than the Nets. Because unless the Nets can come together for these last 20 games and actually start playing as a team, and we see some team ball, get their big three in there and actually playing every game to wrap this thing up, to try and get to that one spot, I want to see that. Because if not, the team is not going to have much experience together once they get to the playoffs, and that doesn't bode well for superstar teams.
yeah,
It doesn't.
Unless they can learn team ball, they're going to struggle.
These last...
And we've seen it a few times in the games they have played, but we don't know if they can do it in a 7-game series.
and you're playing the same team for at least 4 games.
Right. It's going to be nearly impossible for any team to stop James Harden and KD with the help of Kyrie as well.
When they're clicking and when they're healthy. I mean, I don't think anybody can.
Right.
But
they
got to get that together.
Right. All right. Well, that's going to do all I have for the NBA. Unless you guys have anything else you want to touch on before we roll out. Doesn't look like it.
Cavs are out of it. We're done.
So, Major League Baseball.
Oh.
Fantastic nights. We'll talk about that coming up here in a minute.
Not in Cleveland.
Well, it happens.
I know.
Fernando Tatis Jr., 5 home runs in his 11 at-bats against Dustin May and Trevor Bauer. Fantastic performance he's had recently. Fantastic performance from the Padres last night. I know you guys want to talk about it.
Yes. I convinced my dad to watch the whole game, and he ended up thanking me at the end of the night. He wanted to watch American Idol. I'm like, what's wrong with you? I want to watch this.
So I think the MLB National League contest between the Padres and Dodgers is going to be must-see TV all summer long. Padres handed the Dodgers 3 of their first 6 losses in this past week. Padres are now 12-11. Dodgers are 15-6. This was the second meeting between these two teams. Dodgers took the first series 2-1. Now the Padres take this one 3-1. The next series won't be all the way until June 21st, but they're going to meet another 3 times in the big one, September 28th, to end the regular season.
That's going to be something.
So you guys can take this one away.
Padres,
I know you guys wanted to talk about that game from last night, from Sunday night, for those listening.
The Padres lead the season series now, 4 games to 3 now? Because that was a 4-game series.
That's how that works.
And it was an amazing game.
I
was sitting there when it was 7-1. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, I thought they were going to give a little bit of fight, and here they come.
You saw it go up 7-1, and then I think the next half inning, the Padres put 2 on the board, making it 7-3, and you kind of got the feeling they were going to chip away at it, and that's kind of what happened.
When it became 7-5, I'm like, hey. Like, my dad was falling asleep. I'm like, wake up!
They tie it up, and then it goes extra innings.
Yeah.
They won a sack fly.
Dodgers had bases loaded, like, once or twice in extra innings and couldn't get a base hit. They pinched hit, Clayton Kershaw, which I don't really know. But
I don't understand.
I don't understand it.
I know their bench was depleted, but
do
you at all point remember them using many pinch hitters? Because I don't remember.
Especially Kershaw coming in.
He's a pitcher that can hit, though. Him and Bumgarner are probably 2 best hitting pitchers in the league.
It's the National League, so pitchers are in batting practice too. But
taking hacks, and then they're hitting the lineup every 5 days.
Yeah.
But no, as far as the game, and this rivalry is great.
Yeah.
And you always talk about it with the Dodgers. You always talk about them being like bitter rivals with the Giants and stuff like that. The Padres are taking their place right now. Yeah. This is the hottest rivalry in the game right now. You still have Yankees. Red Sox are still good. You still have that one going on. It's the oldest one, but this one's taking its place.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun to see.
Speaking of your Red Sox, if you guys are done with that, Red Sox now lost 5 of their last 10, but they remain in the top of the AL East at 14-9. thanks to the entire AL East basically doing the exact same thing, going 5-5, 4-6, 6-4. So nobody was really able to touch them or get anywhere near. But it seems like the AL East finally kind of centered itself out and still wide open.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that division?
Well,
right now?
the Yankees won 3 out of 4 in Cleveland, so they got on a hot streak. I was pretty mad. But,
I didn't think they were that impressive, though.
Huh?
I didn't think the Yankees looked that impressive, though.
No, they didn't. I mean, it was more the Indians' fault.
It was. I mean, the first 2 games, you put up 3 runs in the first
in
couple innings,
the first
and you do nothing
inning,
since.
and didn't do anything. They lost the first 2 games 5-3.
If they could have kept tacking more on that, the Yankees wouldn't have won those first 2 games. I wasn't impressed by that at all.
No, I think, and
but they won the games and turned around.
Going to Cleveland, it's good getting that that hot start. Where they weren't able to do that before. But you got to keep it going. You got to keep the fire going.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
You can't just go cold.
We'll see what it does for the Yankees. I don't think it was that impressive.
They got to play.
You talk about getting on the roll.
Right.
They took it 3 wins out of 4 games. I mean, we'll see if that gets them going.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the Yankees, they're still in last, but are now 9-12 and just 3 games back from 500 through the first 22 games. Do you think they're going to start their climb back to the at least middle of the pack?
I think it's going to take a little longer.
They're in last still?
Yes.
No. Well, yeah, they're tied with Baltimore for last.
Oh, okay.
Since we talked last week, they were 5-10 when we talked last week, so they only lost 2 games.
Yeah.
Right.
They're starting to get it going a little bit, I guess you can say, but I think it might take a little longer. I think they kind of did it against the Indians. They actually, no, they really didn't, because they hit a lot of home runs against the Indians. That's what they live and die by, but I want to see them be able to win games without hitting home runs constantly. Which is what their lineup, they're going to hit a lot of home runs, especially in the ballpark where they play in short fence, but we'll see.
Right.
We will see.
Well, the AL Central, that's our big
Kansas
Indians
City
division. Is currently being controlled by the Kansas City Royals and the Chicago White Sox, who both won 7 of their last 10 games, but the Royals are 1.5 games ahead of the Sox at the moment. Indians are 4 games back and are 9-11 after their recent losing skid, which was 7 of their last 10. They lost 3 of 4 to the Yankees, and they also lost their first meeting between them and Cincinnati 2-1 in that series. So Indians not off to the Battle of Ohio very well.
No.
What do you guys think of the Central?
Kansas City, they've been down in the dumps the past couple of years.
But if you just go back, what was it,
2015?
They won the World Series. They won it. So we're not too far out.
No, we're not too far out at all.
They had a quick little
They had a
reload.
couple years of reload, and they're coming around.
I told you guys before the season, I don't know if I said it on the show, but I might have said it off the show, but they made some good acquisitions in the
They got Carlos Santana.
Whit Merrifield's a hit machine.
Whit Merrifield's awesome. They still have, I believe, one of the best catchers in the game, Salvador Perez.
Oh, it's not even a question.
Yeah,
it's not even the best in the game.
He's one of them.
But, yeah, credit to them. They're playing good. They made some good moves, and it's working.
Indians,
Andrew Benintendi, we forgot about him, too.
Yeah, they get Benny. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. But with Chicago, they got a good pitching core. Carlos Rodon, we saw him hit through the no-hitter against
nearly the perfect game.
Nearly a perfect game.
We all wanted it.
Except me. I was jumping and cheering when that ball bounced off Roberto Perez's foot. It was awesome.
Kind of sucked. There wasn't even a clear camera angle of it either. So it's it's one of those plays. Yeah. It's forever in infamy.
One more thing about the AL Central is
Go ahead.
Twins are kind of surprising.
Yeah,
they
really
look bad.
They look really bad, even though they had the no-hitter going against Pittsburgh.
Well, we'll get to that when we talk about their division, but they haven't looked good at all. No. Maybe they'll wake up too, like the Yankees might, but I don't know.
We'll see.
Well, right now, it looks like the AL West, though, is going to be one of the best divisions between the Athletics and Mariners fighting for that top spot. Athletics are looking good and have won 9 of their last 10 and are now 14-8 in 1 game ahead of the Mariners.
It's finally time Houston's taking their toll in the basement, and I'm happy because I can't stand Houston.
I don't think I'm going to give up on them yet.
Yeah.
10-11, they're only 3.5 down. Early, but they still have that deep lineup. And the Angels, I want to see them win this division for one time.
Yeah, me too. I want to see Mike Trout in the playoffs and win a series in the playoffs. They keep calling him best player in the game. He is. But he doesn't win. They don't have anybody else around him to help him win. And
this might be the year that they can at least get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But
they went once and got swept, I remember.
They got to catch the A's. The A's are playing,
Texas
at some point maybe they'll cool off, but they got to catch the A's. The A's are on a roll.
Yeah.
I like the A's right now.
I do like
a good
Oakland.
Run. I've always liked Seattle, though, especially ever since they had Ichiro Suzuki back in the early 2000s.
And
he was always one of my favorite players, too.
He played forever, too.
Right. He's part of the reason why I've always kind of liked that squad just because of Ichiro.
Yeah. He just retired, too, not too long ago.
Right.
A couple years ago. He played a long
He was
time.
playing with gray hairs.
Yeah.
He was still one of the fastest guys in baseball.
For the Yankees, too.
I think at one point.
Yankees, and he played for the Marlins.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So the NL East has no one out in front and only has one team, the Mets, that are above 500, and they're only 9-8. So the NL East kind of reminiscent of the NFC East from the NFL, just full of bad teams, it seems.
And this was a division everybody was talking about being probably the most competitive going into the year.
Right. And
I mean, the Marlins might be the worst team, and they just, or not right now, but before the season, I mean, they just made the playoffs too. So, see if that
same with Atlanta
around.
too. So it's early, 20 games or so in. So still got a long way to go.
Right, and moving next, the next division, the NL Central is a tight race right now, with the Brewers sit on top at 13-8. But the entire division looks like it could probably flip at any moment with anybody going anywhere. I know that's part of Mike's Pirates, the Buccos. They're in a good spot right now after winning 6 of their last 10, already with 2 wins against the Brewers. Mike, do you think the Pirates can make a run up to first, at least for part of the season?
I think they can hang around. I don't know how long they're going to last, but they got themselves back to 500, and they've done it in like a scrappy way. They're not a home run hitting team at all. They when they get guys on base, they're able to get them in. And that's something they haven't done in the past. So that's a sign of improvement. They just keep winning. I mean, they 3-game road trip, or 3 series on the road, and they took all 3 of them the first time since 2015 they've done that. So that's another plus.
Last year, right before the All-Star break, what were they, like a game out of first or something?
Oh, no, this was the year before. Last year they were horrible.
Okay, the year before that.
Yeah, and then they got bad after that too. But
yeah,
I don't know. As a fan of this team, I'm getting what I wanted to see out of them so far, out of the first 22 games.
Yeah, your boy going.
What?
Well, he's still hurt, right?
Yeah, he's still hurt. But no, I'm seeing what I wanted to see out of them. I mean, they're fun to watch right now. The first couple games they weren't. They started out 1-6, but ever since then they've been on a roll, and they're just playing good baseball. And that's what I want to see. As a young team, they're at a good point in their rebuild right now.
Yeah.
Just show us what you got and just play.
Right. All right, moving up, the NL West, part of the Dodgers and Padres, is giving us a mild surprise, though. Giants in second instead of the Padres. I don't really think anybody saw the Giants were going to be hopping up, at least not in the early part of the season. Dodgers are only ahead by 1 game, and the Padres are now 3 games back. The Diamondbacks are just 4 games back and have won 7 of their last 10. So, I mean, it's still kind of wide open at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously everything's wide open. We're still at the beginning of the season, but, I mean, you can kind of see the shifts start to kind of move and where players or teams are going to be around.
You forget games are played every day, so things are constantly changing.
Right. So I'm sure even by Wednesday when the show comes out, we'll be looking at something different. I mean, we could see the Giants in first if the Dodgers continue to skid after their struggles against the Padres. So.
And as far as Diamondbacks, you want to touch on Bumgarner's special day yesterday?
Yes, I do. I was going to mention it afterwards because I forgot to mention it at the beginning. But Madison Bumgarner had a 7-inning no-hitter against the Braves. Unfortunately, it will not count as an official no-hitter because no-hitters in the Major League Baseball have to go a full 9 innings. So while he had a complete game, he does not get credit for the no-hitter that he accomplished. What do you guys think of that?
I don't know if I agree with it.
I mean, when you make the double-header rule...
7 innings is an official game.
Right.
So
if a game is official, why is the stats from it not?
Which, by the way, I like the 7 innings on
yes.
doubleheaders. It makes sense.
I think it was a good idea when they were like, when we do doubleheaders. Plus, I think, I mean, it only gets rid of 4 innings, but it only gets rid of 4 innings.
You got 2 games in one day, so.
Right.
But
it's like, what about those last 4 innings? Or the last 2 innings of the game, they're always most intense. It's like, well, now it's just like high school baseball. Those last 2 innings are still the most intense.
And it's kind of weird because last week the Pirates had doubleheader with 2 7-inning games, and it's like 4th or 5th inning. You're like, let's pick it up here. Like the game's almost over. Just playing 7 innings. Like
it kind of brings that excitement. You gotta wait till that 9th, and you're like, oh, come on. Once you're in that 6th and 7th, you're like, it's now or never.
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
But yeah, if you're gonna make it 7-inning games on doubleheaders, make it an official no-hitter.
Yeah. I don't understand the logic in it. Bumgarner has never had a no-hitter in his entire career.
Which is hard to believe.
He had a few close when he was on the Giants, I believe. But he's never had one.
He's hit 2 Grand Slams. 3 World Series rings. Like, he's probably one of the best pitchers in the game. Well, that will go down in history.
In his time. You could probably say him and Kershaw and with the older guys. But in his time, they probably were.
Even Kershaw. I mean, Kershaw's still good. I think he's still one of the best pitchers in the game now, but he's getting a little bit past his prime. But
yeah,
still
definitely.
good pitchers. Still pitchers that will go out there and pitch 7 innings like that, just like that for you, and get you to win.
Yeah, because you don't see pitchers ever pitch 7 innings anymore. But,
no, you don't.
But yeah, I'm all for it. Make it a no-hitter. I'm calling it a no-hitter.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
No-hitter. Bumgarner. I used to hate him.
I never did.
I didn't like...
What do you got, Alec?
What
do you got? You got anything else?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still early, but it seems like we're in for an interesting year. Still waiting for those top teams to really get hot, start to pull away from the field. We thought that the Red Sox were going to do it. They've kind of pulled back. The Dodgers, we thought they were getting ready. I mean, they were, 13-1 or something? They were going
2 or something.
insane. Now they're kind of back just in the spot right above the Giants by 1. We thought those were the first teams to make their postseason. Both of those squads lost 5 of the last 10. Who do you think the first team we see pull away is?
I don't know. It was really tight right there. You got all 3 of the LA or the
I would say
California
either
teams.
Oakland, the Mets, or the Dodgers. I think.
Oakland, the Mets, or the Dodgers. Well, I think.
As far as like the Pirates division, probably the Cardinals.
I think
the Brewers are first right now, but I don't know.
I think you got to keep Atlanta close. I think they might pull away. I think the Phillies might come around as well. I think they might pull away.
That division's going to shift around the NL East,
Yeah.
but I mean the obvious ones are probably the A's and the Dodgers.
A's, man.
Even though they're in first place right now, but they'll.
I think the Royals are going to be the first to pull away.
You think?
The Central's always just such a
I think
weird
Kansas City
division,
has
the
what it
AL
takes.
Central. And it always seems to be either they're all close to the end or one team pulls away and completely blows out like Kansas City did back in 2015 when they won the World Series. I think the Indians were still up there.
I think they finished second or third.
They were second with like 92 wins.
I don't
And
think
Kansas
they made
City
the playoffs
had like
that year,
100
did they?
something.
2015? No, they didn't make the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying. So Kansas City pulled away, and Cleveland was still good, but they just didn't.
Right.
They couldn't get that wild card spot.
2013.
Cleveland was like still like an 80-win team or whatever,
Yeah.
but Kansas City was over 100 in
Yeah.
that season. They were phenomenal when they won it all.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, that's all I got for baseball. Matt, I know you said you got a little bit for NHL. You're want to take it away
Penguins,
for
man.
now?
First place. We're doing pretty good. I've been watching here and there. Usually when I get home from calling high school games, that's what my dad is watching. So I sit down and watch whatever's left of it. And they've been winning.
I've been getting a chance to watch a little bit of them because them and the Pirates play on the same channel. Sometimes when the hockey's going on, they won't have the Pirates on, so I'll watch hockey. But they're playing good.
One point and from first. Washington is 1 point behind them in second. But they're doing pretty good, and overall they're the 4th best team in the NHL right now. Vegas is on top.
They won 9 straight at the moment, 9 of their last 10.
Vegas
so
is
they're
insane. Carolina right behind them, and then you have Florida and Pitt, which I think Florida and Pittsburgh, which they're tied right now for 3rd. I think they're kind of equal teams. You got Colorado. Colorado's pretty good as well, and then Tampa Bay and Washington.
Don't forget about the Maple Leafs in the North. They're first place in the North Division. I kind of like them, too.
Matt, I was going to kind of ask you. We talked about it last week, and we're probably going to keep talking about it on these shows as the season winds down. But who you kind of seeing as the big dogs in the league?
I mean, Pittsburgh's up there. I know I'm showing a little bias. I think Pittsburgh can make a good run.
Isn't Malkin still hurt? Or is he? I don't know if he was out or not. I thought he was for a while.
I think he might be back.
But continue.
I don't know. But Vegas is always going to be there. Vegas is definitely the big dog on the other side. But for,
I mean, the East, obviously,
yeah,
got the
the
Penguins
East,
and the
Pittsburgh and Carolina and Washington, they're fighting each other.
I mean, like I said, we're going to have these are still going to change, too, within a couple weeks left. But we're going to have some conversation coming up. I mean, Tampa Bay, still defending champs.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's...
They're sitting at 3rd in their division, but we'll have to see where that goes.
We will see.
All right, well, I believe that leaves us with just 2 segments left in the show. I got 2 games of the week this time around. Matt doesn't have his thing ready, so I'll take this one first. So coming up this Friday, the start of this series, The San Francisco Giants taking on the San Diego Padres for second place in the NL West. This could change to be first place depending on what the Dodgers end up doing in their series this week. That's that game of the week. That's going to be 10-10 on Friday. Check that out on NBC Sports. And then also this Friday at 10 o'clock, the number 1 seeded Utah Jazz going up against the number 2 seeded Phoenix Suns in a very anticipated matchup that I think could really, it's going to be important for playoff positioning if the Suns can start making their pull in these last 20 games or so. That's what I got for...
Can I add one to your list?
Go ahead.
I'll go with Wednesday night because this comes out Wednesday night.
Right.
We talked about the Royals. We talked about the Pirates. They're facing off against each other Tuesday and Wednesday. Wednesday, I kind of like it. Mike Minor versus Mitch Keller. We'll see if Mitch Keller had a good game his last start, but we'll see if that continues. So let's throw that in the games of the week.
Fair enough. All right. So that leaves us with one more segment, a little bit of a faster show than I thought it would be. My partner's going to give too much insight on the NFL draft, so we're going to wrap it up here in about a few minutes. An hour and 10 minutes into this one leaves us with one final segment of the show. Matthew J. Morrison's Meathead of the Week.
All right, I just figured it out. I had this Meathead of the Week. His name's Ryan Wilson. He works for CBS. This is the guy that has been doing these stupid mock drafts every day of the week for I don't know how long, and they're so far off. I read the comments every day just to laugh. I think I laugh harder reading these comments than like watching TikTok, which is a surprise. But people are like, "This guy needs to be fired." What the hell are you talking about? Like, you have no idea what he's talking about. Like, he's a meathead, and that's why I should have gave him this award every week. But since this is the last week we're going to see these stupid mock drafts.
Oh, no, we'll get a way too early mock draft the week after.
Yeah, for next year.
Yeah. But congratulations. I didn't even know his name until I looked at it. I just said, "Oh, that meathead."
Matt's just guaranteed
CBS.
himself that he's never getting a job at CBS now. So
I'm not working at CBS.
If you get a job, you take the job, man.
I'm not working there. They're horrible.
You could make them good.
Matt Morrison does not speak for the rest of Casual Sports Report or any of the other hosts on the show. We'll
I'm available for anybody if you need me.
I'll do good and they'll fire me.
Matthew Morrison does not speak for the brand of the company. Please ignore him as we wrap this one up. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube and other platforms. Check us out on TikTok. We finally put up a video, and Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Casual Sports Report. You can also listen to this for the just audio version, so you won't get our fancy logo up for the whole time, but like you do with this, you can just get the audio version on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and whatever podcasting site you probably listen to. There's a good chance it's on there. If you can find it, just type in Casual Sports Report. I've been Alec Brennan. Joining me this time, as always, Mike Wolfgang and Matt Morrison. We will see you all next time.